All right, everybody, welcome back to the Top Agent Podcast. Stacy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. We have a very special guest coming to us from Ontario. He is
Yes.
a several-time Icon agent, and he runs a team, actually has a brick-and-mortar office for eXp, the second one in Canada.
Nice.
And without further ado, Mr. Cedrick Gauthier. Cedrick Gauthier, welcome to the Top Agent Podcast. How are you doing today?
I am great. How about you guys?
We're doing good.
Yeah, hanging in there. I
Perfect.
apologize in advance if my voice goes in and out. I'm not sick, but I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was some stuff I did on the weekend where I had to raise my voice a lot, which is a whole other story for another day.
We all have those, right?
Yes. I referee arm wrestling tournaments sometimes, and I have to yell. So that's the
Hence
that's
the belt
short
behind
version.
him.
Yeah,
I was actually wondering what it was, so that's great.
that is the Stronghold Arm
Oh.
Wrestling League championship belt. So there you go. But
Very
more about
impressive.
you, Cedrick. So you're coming to us from Limoges, Ontario. Am I saying that correct?
Yes,
Lamar.
yes. Limoges. So if you're doing it in French, it's Limoges, but
Limoges.
most people are going to say Limoges. So yeah.
The same, similar to my town of Portage La Prairie as Portage La Prairie, and yeah,
The actual way to say it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're about 25 minutes from Ottawa. Yeah, on the east side of it.
Okay. Well, we like to start way back at the beginning, so we like to dig into people's history a little bit. So the first question I have for you is, tell us a little bit about what life was like before real estate. Like, what did you aspire to be? Because quite often we find that real estate is not people's first choice of a career. Occasionally it is.
Correct. No, so it wasn't it. But my first time I knew I wanted to get into real estate was more with investment properties. Went to college in Barrie at first, and then realized I was renting a townhome, and I'm like, oh, this guy owns this one and this one and this one. That's pretty cool. I'd like to do that. I'd like to own the whole block, And it wasn't at the back of my mind. And when I moved to Ottawa after. To go and meet. I have a bunch of friends that are in Ottawa, so I went to join them after college. Ended up buying my first townhome at 21, back when it was actually easy to buy a home. 40-year mortgage with 5% down and at 160,000. I think everything CMHC included cost like at a down payment of 12,000 or something like that. So it was easy back then for me. But and it started with this and went back to university in economics at Ottawa U. I realized halfway through that I don't want to be sitting in an office. And I liked real estate, and I had a friend of mine that was in real estate. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I'll do. So as soon as I was done, I started my courses. And yeah, that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
So as you went to school for economics, was there a goal in mind when you got to the other end of that?
I just no. Well, yes, have a good job. Like that's why you go to school. But I thought I'd be working for, I don't know, investment companies, StatScan. Like that was pretty much where it was directed at. And I like math. I like economics in general. It's something I follow closely. I'm a spreadsheet guy, so I'm like, yeah, this is for me. I found it super interesting, but sitting in an office for 8 to 10 hours, I have a hard time focusing for 15 minutes, right? So it wasn't for me. Yeah.
Wow. So tell us about your first couple of years in real estate and what that looked like for you.
Yeah. So I joined a team right off the bat. So it was a big team here in Ottawa, selling like 600 homes a year. So I started with some leads right off the bat. So I can say that I was somewhat lucky to be part of a team like that. Learned a lot. Did a ton of volume first year, second year, all the way. I was there about 5 years, and like I did a lot of volume there. So I gained some experience, gained some clients very quickly. So that was an easier transition, I guess. At the time, I had no kids, ready to work 24/7, which I did, and it helped. So it's I learned a lot very quickly because of the system that I was in. Yeah. I'm not the typical had to, struggle for a couple of years because, you're doing things on your own. It's a tough thing to do, right? Like I was lucky to be in an environment that I was in. So I worked hard, but it made it easier for me to actually start to succeed right away.
Now that was with obviously with a different brokerage than you're at now.
Yes. So it's Paul Rushford Real Estate. Essentially, he has his own brokerage under his name, and if you're under that brokerage, you're under the team, right? It's a one team brokerage, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so what led you down the path of now? Did you stay there right up until you joined eXp?
Yes, I did.
And
Yes.
what led you to eXp?
Well, actually, friends of mine. I started doing my due diligence, and because I'm like, okay, so like I interviewed Remax, Taylor Williams, Royal LePage, Exit. Like I'm like, I'm a free agent here. I do whatever I want. I interviewed all of them, and then randomly, a friend of mine a year before, we're one of the first eXp in Canada. It was like back in the day. I think they were something the first 10 in Ontario anyway, and they had joined, and I kind of put eXp on the side because it's a new thing. It looked cool, but I'm looking for a powerhouse here, right? It's a career move, and he just texted me right at a good time, and he's like, let's sit down, and then he explained the model. And obviously, if you're sitting here with eXp, you know the model very well. You understand how great it is, and you like all the different stuff that the model will actually give you, right? You're not just sitting at a brokerage and they're giving you something back, not just you giving something. So after looking into it, I'm still not convinced because I had a good deal with another office that was giving me a free space, free everything, and it looked very interesting. And then I got on a call, Hank of Inc. Hank
Yes.
Avink? Yes. Okay. So he's in Michigan. He's had met with him before through he came in Ottawa, but eventually he gave me a call. My sponsor put me in a call with him, and I'm not going to swear on your podcast, but eventually after his presentation, he's like, "Well, you know what? The model's great, but if you don't effing get it, there's nothing I can do for you." And in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Well, I do get it. Right? I do understand I do understand the advantage. What am I doing?" So yeah, that was it. Hung up and called the guy and like, yeah, I'm doing it. So yeah.
That is often what I feel like saying to people.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And the reality though is this doesn't always work, right? It worked for me because I did get it. But if you don't get it, people can be insulted by it. So, but yeah, no, I'm a spreadsheet guy. Like I had all of them. I have my 3 screens, and I had like this one. eXp had this. Oh well, there's a hell of a potential there, though, right? So yeah, pretty much it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So was there one thing when you started looking into eXp that you're like, I'm doing this? Like, was there a page turner for you, or it was just kind of?
Yes. So, well, you guys in real estate, you know that, but how many realtors are in this in their 10th, 15, 20 year and they don't have a pension plan? You make money, but you spend a lot. And I had a few investments and some properties, but eventually I was making more money than I was making more money than I should have as wealth. You know what I mean? So, and this model with the rev share and with the stock, that's the model. Like it's actually, that's my pension plan, and I'm working 0 minutes on it. It's being created for me. So that's what's appealing for me. And as you know, like when you get your icon, you get shares given to you. You sell homes, you get shares. And I started at the time that the shares was worth $6 before the stock split. So I get all these for free, and then stock price goes like this. Essentially, you're being given free money. Like whatever money I've given to eXp in terms of cap, I've gotten back and more. So I'm working for free, right? So it's when you add up those numbers, it does make sense. There's no reason to go somewhere else.
Nope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you've hit icon every year since 2019, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So that's about the time you joined eXp. Is that also correct?
Yes. So, well,
So you
I
hit it
joined.
running.
Yeah, no. So so first year, my first icon, I got kind of lucky because everything was going great, but then you need to hit a certain number of transactions, right? So you capped in a certain number of transactions, and I was almost there, but then my builder, I was starting to represent the builder, and we bought 6 lots that closed right at the right time. So I got my 6 transactions at the end, and I hit my first icon because of it. So yeah, that was there's 6 lots. They were like worth 50 grand, but for me they were worth a lot more than this because
Yeah.
Yes.
it made me hit my icon, and then since then, well, it's always increased. So then it was easier to do it. But that was my first year on my own, so I was very happy to hit it the first year.
Nice.
So
Mm.
bring it up. Sorry, Stacy.
No,
Just
good.
wondering if you can bring us up to today. So you have a brick and mortar office, which was, I
Yes.
believe, the second eXp office opened in. Is that in Canada?
Yeah, in Canada, right at the beginning when they were actually looking into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Um, Took some time. Like I remember, like at the time, Debbie Playman, she wanted, like she's from Seattle, and she flew to Limoges to come and see my office, right? Like it was back in the day when there's almost none of them. They were waiting, like it took longer than expected because they were waiting on lawyers to actually ratify the contract agreement, because I wanted my sign there, not just like a physical office. I wanted my sign on because I'm on a good street here in Limoges. So yeah, no, it was right at the beginning. I saw all the it's crazy how fast it's gone, like how now efficient the system is compared to when you're first starting, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I spent a year pretty much alone in that office with an assistant,
Yeah.
that started right at the same time. That was right when COVID hit. So it was crazy actually, because I rented the office. It was kind of a cube. It was new. So cube with nothing in. I had to put lighting, flooring, walls, bathroom, everything. So spending that money on this, first time in my life, had an assistant that I was paying with a family, right? So I couldn't just lay this person off, but then COVID hit. So in 7 months, I got 2 closings with all this expense, and I have a family at home too, right? So I mean, savings. Good thing I had a bit of it, but then everything was postponed, and then in June I sold 15 homes. So like that's my best month ever because of accumulation. It just happened all at the same time. But for a few months, it was a stressful time. I have to admit, it was the first time that I actually had real expenses and no income coming in. That wasn't great.
100%. Like absolutely. So you have a team under you now, or you're building a team within your office rather?
I have a team here, yes. So we're 3 agents and 2 full-time admins. So the admins pretty much make sure that we do nothing else but sell homes, and that's what's great about it. Like for example, I have Rachel. She's pretty much my operations manager. She takes care of all the bills, all the she sends everything to my accountant. I did once a month. She gives me a spreadsheet of where we're at, right? Like I do nothing in that regards. And then she does all the marketing, social media. So everything you see on my social media, she takes care of it. If we do videos, she edits from start to finish. Every month she meets with me with a marketing schedule for the month. Like this is what's going to come up. So the 3rd, the 5th, everything that's coming up, we're planning ahead of time. Like she takes care of all of this. And then you have Tammy, that's pretty much the right arm of everybody else in the office. So she takes care of her documents, she uploads everything, she does all the legwork for Rachelan on a few things, she updates databases. Like there's system's pretty efficient. So like we're 3 guys and we sell about 100 homes a year, all 3 of us together, with those systems. But like I'm at a point with this, like most leads, like I'll keep some referrals, but most leads will go to RJ and Sylvain. After doing this and running around for 10 years, I now have a family, so I'm able to do more of a 9 to 5, something that I never thought I'd be doing. So when I started this, so that's great. I almost never work on the weekends. The other day I was even like 2 nights in a row, I had appointments that I had to take and I had to go, and I'm telling my wife, yeah, sorry. So these 2 nights you'll be alone with Emma. And then she made a comment, like not still encouraging, but made a comment, oh, okay, that's fine, I'll be alone. I'm like, remember what it was 2 years ago? Like we're having it great right now. Like, I mean, we're still in real estate. It is what it is. But yeah, no, but it helps you look back to where you were 5 years ago, still with that team, and plugging at it, like going hard, but no control really. And then to what we have now, like it's fun to look back. It's fun to look back.
So are you actively doing agent attraction then, or you got your team and your
I should work harder on it, because if anybody has done a little bit on it, they know how great it can be. Actively, no. I focus on real estate. That's what I'm good at. I'll talk about it a little bit. I've done some, like I've had some limited success with it, but I'm not calling around. I've never done it. I'd love to do it, but I'm not that type of guy. I've never door knocked in my life. I have a hard time calling warm leads. Like it's just, I have a good sphere of influence, and we work hard on our database. Like that's our strength, and people call us, right? So that's the way we've done our business. But I'm not a cold caller or anything like this. So it's a little bit harder. I know some guys are doing great with it, and it's good guys too. Like it's not, I have nothing against it. They're probably doing something better than I'm doing, because the attraction part is, it's your future business, right? Like in 5-10 years, maybe these guys don't work because of what they're doing, and I'll still have my team plugging into it. But it's, to each their own. Yeah,
Absolutely. So focusing on that traditional real estate business, what are you doing to adapt to a changing market?
So the way I've told the guys is, all we need to do is being more informed than everybody else. So we're still getting calls, because like I said before, we work mostly by referrals. Like our database is very good. So we get calls all the time just to like, hey Cedrick, what's going on with the market? Like I saw this in the news. Is this true? Is it this? And like I have a base in economics. So like I understand where things are going to. Like I don't have a crystal ball. I've been wrong a lot of times lately, but I still understand it. And so we have meetings, we talk about it, and then we call our clients and actually explain it to them, right? So that's kind of been one thing that we've done well, is we're calling the client before they call. Let's just say, hey, I know you've probably seen the news. Here's really what's going on. Here's what the market's has done. The trend is going towards this. And we just look like the expert on the market. And then when something happens, they call us, right? We're not just, hey, I have your business. Thank you very much. Here's your closing gift. Hey, call me later, right? No. So we do pop buys. We keep on working with these clients all the time. Like we call them. We do have a great newsletter. Gashanan takes care of it. She comes with every month. She comes with like a list of topics that we can talk about in their newsletter. And I'm like, okay, this one and this one. And she leaves. She comes back. It's all drafted. I'm like, yeah, no, this doesn't work. I change a few things. She comes back, and we do this a couple times, and then bang, have a brand new newsletter. It's great. It's informational. That's the whole goal. And then we send it to our database. So our whole thing is like, as a realtor, how do you adapt to a changing market? Is basically to tell your clients about it, explain it to them. Like, to be honest with you, like the number of total sales affect us, because it reduces the pie, right? So if it's not just a share of the pie, I can have 50% of the pie, but if the pie is this big, it's worth less. So that's an aspect that we can't do anything about. But the rest is, if the market is down, up, buyer, seller, it doesn't matter for us as realtors. What matters is that they call us, right? We just need to make sure that when something happens, they call us. That's our job. So that's what we've had to focus on. Yeah. And then we explain to them where it is going, so they actually want to deal with us.
Nice. So what advice could you give agents looking to be icon agents or top producers?
Well, like I said before, I'm not the cold caller type. So like, I know door knocking works. I've seen it working. It's just not my thing. So I can't speak to that. But to be an icon agent, essentially, you're going to need to sell 35 to 40 homes. Most likely, it's somewhere around there if you're a single agent. And it's a lot easier to do it when you have people calling you. Like, one thing I've realized, and Brian Buffini says that all the time, all leads are not created equal, right?
Yes.
If my mother sends me somebody, that's worth a lot more money than 100 online leads, right? So I'm focusing on that one here. And basically, when I started on my own, I put myself a list of 30 people. Not that they were my best friends, not that they were just a past client. The only criteria was, are they going to refer me? That was the only criteria. And I focused on these 30 people. I called them, made sure that they heard from me once a month minimum, and I did my pop buys 4 times a year. That is whether like seasonal. It's related to season. So if it's Christmas, bottle of wine with something, Thanksgiving pie or something like that. Like that's what I've done, and basically work by referral. That was it. It's just work by referral and focus on the top people that will refer you, and it works. And it's surprising how much people actually want to support you when it doesn't cost them any money, right? It's just giving you this referral, right? And you have to ask for it. It's an uncomfortable thing, but ask for it. Find those 30 people and focus on them, right? And it's the layering effect. It's the pop by, it's the call, it's the text, or even like the text. Sometimes, like let's just say we had a past transaction, something funny happened, then I go somewhere, this happens again with another client, I will text the first one, hey, remember this? It just happened again. Ha ha ha. Remember when we, and then they're like, oh yeah, it was fun dealing with Cedrick. It's stuff like that. And then how's the family? How's this? And then, one thing leads to another, but you gotta care, right? If you don't care, well, then it's hard. It's not fun to do. I happen to do care. So that's easier for me. I have some agents that don't care. I've known them. And so like, it's just, they're great agents. They will take care of their clients, but they don't care about the personal life of their clients. So it's different. It's a different approach, but essentially focus on getting referrals.
Nice.
That's been working for us. And even with our team, the girls at the office, they take care of our referrals, right? So bang, I come to the office, whoops, 30 pies, perfect. There's a nice little sticker with us on it. Thankful for your business. Grateful for your business. Like a bunch of stuff that's Thanksgiving related. If it's we're in Canada, so obviously there's snow. So we've done windshield washer fluid. Right, it's just and then it's like in March, and it's like, yes, I'm sorry, winter's not going away, but here's a little something to get you over the hump. Like just something cheesy. Like they know it's cheesy. Like it's the idea. If you try to make it too perfect, which is that's how I started it. It almost like yeah, right, okay, thank you. But if it's cheesy, they're like, yeah. They know it's not worth much, right? It's the gesture that counts. Like if you're not doing this to you're not going to save the money with this windshield washer fluid. It's not the point. It's just to be there.
Yeah.
Right? And then you knock on the door, you drop it off, and then, hey, I put a deck in. Come and see it. All right, so you're in. How's life? Oh, well, you know what? It's good. I have a few referrals now. It's going well. Oh, yeah, true. I know this person. Like, it's so easy, but you have to focus on it. You just
I
have
like
to spend
that a
the time.
lot. I'm going to steal that idea, that windshield washer fluid idea.
Do it.
Brian Buffini, that's a Brian Buffini thing, the washer.
Correct.
Fluid. Yeah, and he has
100%.
like a sticker. I actually have it here because we both did the 100 Days to Greatness program, and
I did it too.
Yeah, some cheesy saying with the windshield washer fluid.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, so you had you pulling his little book and what to do. Yeah, I've done that. I actually I guess I've been in the program for 5 years. I've received a little trophy and saying a 5-year thank you for being a 5-year member, Brian Buffini. And yeah, no, I follow Brian's stuff. Note cards all the time. People love them.
Yeah, and he sends you stuff in the mail to help out. So.
Mm-hmm. And the idea too is like online leads, cold calling or door knocking. It relies on you. Right? It relies on you working hard all the time. So if you want more sales, you got to work harder, more hours. But the referral is different, right? Like you have a solid base of referrals, you're always going to need to work, but at least you know that at the beginning of the year, we're getting 50 sales regardless of what we do, because we're getting at least 50 good referrals. Yeah.
So the next thing I have for you, and I know you have an assistant that looks after most of this, but what role do you feel social media plays in today's real estate game?
Um, those that are doing it right, it works, and I think that's the idea. It's consistency, right? Like, it's not because you do a Facebook post or an Instagram post that you're going to get sales or leads. It's a consistency factor, and we are just getting into it ourselves. I've always worked by referrals. I'm not a big poster by nature. I'm too much of a perfectionist, so I'm good at talking like this, but to do like a nice perfect post and a video of me giving tips, or like, I look at it, I'm like, I should have pronounced it this way. So it's hard for me, and I'm the perfectionist procrastinator. So if it's not perfect, I'm not doing it, and it's the wrong way, I'll admit. But now I have them taking care of it, right? And it's just the other day, I woke up, I was having breakfast, dropped my daughter at the daycare, went to the office. Never start with this, but this day I started my Instagram with on my laptop, because I don't have it on my phone, because I can stay there too long. So I just removed it, and then bang, I see myself. First thing I see, 5 tips, and I'm like, oh no, like I hate watching it. I never watch it beforehand. Like, it's just me. So, but it does work with consistency. I know some people that get tons of leads from it. Even traction with agents, videos on it. But it's like, you guys know Darren Hardy? So
Yeah.
Darren Hardy, he's like, success coach basically, and I've followed his career for a long time. I actually met him in person once in San Diego. He has this analogy of a well pump, right? So you start pumping water, nothing comes out of it, right? Because it takes some time for the water to come up. But once the water starts, then you don't have to pump as hard. It's like easy, right? Just keep going, consistency, but water will always come out. Stop for 5 seconds, water goes down, you have to start again and to bring it up. And that's the analogy that they use when I do things like working with referrals and social media. You just have to keep going slowly, not coasting, but always posting something of value. And that's the other thing. Like, you have some agents out there that are really, really good, like nice professional videos. And so I find that if you do a few things and you're not professional, or it's just half-assed here and there, like it makes you look worse than it actually is, right? So I think it needs to be done properly because of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our final questions, which are a little bit off topic, and we like to ask these to get a little bit more inside your head. But if you're ready, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, that's a hard one. I will say The Patriot. Not because of like this war, like I'm a history buff, so maybe that's why I got into it, but not because of being a patriot. That's not the point. I feel like the start with the family, how emotional it is, the whole thing, like when the father loses his son with in the first gunfight, like at the beginning, and then he just wants to get them all, and it's so emotional. He's using his kids to go at it too, and then it's like the underdog, right? They're just there, guerrilla wars on them, like these, they're these assholes on a horse, and then it's just the way that it gets back at it. It's a true story, well, not 100% true, obviously, but based on a true story. I don't know, just the emotion out of it. Like this, it's one movie. Well, I don't have cable or TV anymore, but back in the day, every time I would see it, I had to watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're not doing real estate?
Oh, that's an easy one though. You know what bushcrafting is?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You do? Okay, so I love that. So basically, bushcraft is going into the woods and utilizing the land without technology, right? So I've done that more than once before. I just leave for like 3-4 nights. I have an axe, a knife, some food, and a saw, and I build my shelter and I live in the woods.
Must be hard
alone.
for you as a realtor. So
Well, but at the same time, I go in a place that I'll never, nobody can reach me. Like there's no cell phone connection. Like
yeah,
it's my time. We have a team. I'm able to do it, and it's just bang, phone is there, do my own thing, and you got to work hard. I mean, like it's yes, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a hell of a challenge.
nice.
It's very challenging, and it's not like the first night. Like I'm not like I understand wildlife. Like I'm from Northern Ontario, like really up there. So I've been in the bush before. I understand bears, wolves. Like I'm not really in danger, but I'm not brave either. So first night was always a little tougher. And I have an anecdote on this. So the first night, the first time I ever did this on my own alone, I was in the I built my shelter, but it wasn't completed. Like there's no round, nothing around. Like if somebody wants to come in, they're coming in, right? And then I hear like a big like something like dropped a rock in the water in the lake next to me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like no animal can do this. So I'm like, somebody's here. And I'm like 5 kilometers from the next trail. Like I did Google Earth. I want to be on this lake. I just hiked through the bush with my stuff. Right? Like there's nothing, nobody should be there. It's 3 a.m. I'm like, somebody's here. How did they get here? They must have followed me. And then it just keeps on going. Like I have, like, I'm not, I don't have a gun. I don't know how to fight. Like, what am I doing here? Like, this is worse than an animal. And then in the morning, I just get up and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I see a beaver dam in front of me. So it's probably just a beaver tail that went in the water, that like a big splash that made a big splash. But like the first, like for 4 hours, I'm like, I'm in trouble here. Yeah.
So the next one is, what book has had the most influence on you?
That's an easy one too. This is Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. Everybody should read that book. I read it every 6 months. No, that's a lie. I do the audiobook now every 6 months in my car. It's about 6.5 hours. Basically, it's the first one that I ever read on personal development. So maybe that's why it had such an impact on me. But essentially, it's the premise behind it is that everything is that you do or that you are is a compounded effect of what you've done before, right? Everybody, some had it easier when they started in life, some didn't, some had it hard. But when they took over their life, up or down, they controlled it. You might have started here up or down, or here up or down, right? But it's a compounded effect. Whether on health, business, anything, it's everything comes back to you. And that was for me, what I loved about it was that I have control. I decide if I have success. I decide everything, right? If I want to have a terrible health and I want to eat bad every day, it's on me. I can. But if I want to be healthy, I can eat this instead. I can exercise. If I want to have a sorry, it made me laugh. My bad. But and the business was the same thing. What do I want? What do I want in the business? Tons of people like me started with nothing, right? And now they have a prosperous business. I can do it too. So yeah, everything's about choices and habits. Was my first introduction to actual habits, right? What to do first thing in the morning, what to put your eyes in front, right? Jim Rohn's thing, garbage in, garbage out. So first thing you do is you go see gossip stuff. Well, that's what your mind goes through during the day. That's what you focus on. So it was my first introduction to all that stuff. It's like 175 pages, I think. It's a super easy read. It's a no bullshit approach. There's no fluff in that book. There's not one sentence that doesn't make sense. It's an easy book to read, but I recommend everybody do it. And every time, like I've gifted this book at least 50 times. So yeah, so it's somebody that starts in life, given to high school kids. And I have some parents, people that I know that have kids in high school, and they're curious about real estate. So we talk, and at the end, I always send them this book, and it's always like, if you want to come into real estate and be with me, read this book and show me, like, talk to me about every single chapter. If you do this, it's a very easy book. So if you do this, it shows me that you care, right? So, and that's how I've been doing it, and we're great. Nice. I kind of cut out the people that don't have any interest in doing it, right? So
tire kickers. Nice. The hardest question of the day. what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
That's the Brian Goffini podcast. Actually, I should have known. And finding your why, because I've always been driven and I didn't care about my why. I've had good motivation, like good values, but I could deviate for a good sale. You know what I mean? But it made me very stressed and uncomfortable. But now when you realize and you go at why am I doing this? Yeah, it's not doing what I really want to do or what my family. And once I realized this and I actually wrote it down, figure out what is my why? Why am I being in real estate? It's not an easy profession. People say, oh, you're freedom, you can do whatever you want. Yes, but no, like the calls you get and the appointments, and if somebody calls you at 9, you're supposed to pick up, right? So it's just, but realizing why I do this, and then it gave me the focus of finding of building this team to actually be able to do my 9 to 5 now, and like how can I do this job without being dependent on me? Like I have a system now that I get hit by a bus tomorrow. Well, it sucks, but the business goes forward, right? So going in, we have a wedding this summer, going to Europe for 3 weeks, putting my phone down is what it is. People, they're great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, that's the finding that why. It resonated with me.
Nice.
I've heard it like 10 times before. People are always talking about find your why, and I'm like, who cares? But then I think at the right time, I had a bad day and I just saw this YouTube video and I'm like, you know what? Yes. And it resonated with me. It was Simon Sinek. I love Simon Sinek. He has a good thing about management too. The guy's legit.
Awesome. Well, Cedrick, that is the end of our show for today.
Okay.
We thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to talk about before we get off the air here? Where can people find you?
We have our social media handles that we'll give it to you. You'll see that I don't take care of it, so that's why it's great. It's not me. We're Cedrick at exprealestatehelp.com. We have any way to reach me, phone number. I'm sure I can give it to you. Anytime we pick up, we'll take care of you.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. You have a wonderful day, and we appreciate you for coming on here.
Lovely. Take care, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir.